The time is upon us. If you're anything like me, you might have a deep, deep love for the Shatter Me series. And if so, this announcement rocked your world, okay? Watch Me is a brand new book coming out by Tahereh Mafi, the same author who wrote Shatter Me, and this book takes place in the same universe as Shatter Me, but with completely new characters. She released a teaser for it a couple weeks ago, and it's safe to say that I was in shambles.
Totally normal and chill about this. I am not scared whatsoever. That wasn't enough. No, I need the book now. I need it yesterday actually, but how do I move on? You know, like how do I read the first 2 chapters of a book and then be like, well, guess I just have to move on from that.
I definitely handled it really, really well. Now, what did this spark in me? I said, I miss these characters so much. So much to the point where I was like, oh, you know what I should do? A whole entire Shatter Me series reread, because that's exactly what a sane person would do. Is this necessary? Absolutely not, because this book does not even have to do with the same characters. It's in the same universe. I heard some of the characters get a cameo. I am literally so excited. I am genuinely so excited for this release. When I got the notification that she posted it when I went onto my book Instagram, I was genuinely the most shook I've ever been in my entire life. There's very few authors that I will jump up and down with joy when they release a new book, and she's one of them. So, you know, it has been probably about 2 years since I have seen these characters, and it's time. It's time to see them again. So I thought, what better way than to celebrate the Watch Me release than to re-embark on the journey of rereading this entire series. Am I gonna enjoy every second of it? Yes. Do I miss Aaron Warner? He is one of my original book boyfriends, and I just gotta, you know, gotta come back. I gotta say hello. Aaron, come home, the kids miss you. But without further ado, let us embark on this journey together. Hello friends, a bit of an update is in order because I finished this book all in one sitting last night. No shame, it's kind of small. All I have to say about this is I realized that I have the brain capacity of a squirrel, because why did I not remember 80% of the things that happen in this book? I remember like really important, like big details, but there were so many small details in this that I totally forgot. Basically, to kind of sum up what is going on within this book, we have our main character, Juliet, and she is in a insane asylum. Basically, our girl Juliet has some crazy powers where if she touches anybody, they will die. So she has been locked up since a very young age, simply because obviously people were a bit scared. Also during this point in time, the reestablishment is trying to kind of re-govern over this group of people. It is dystopian, so there is government issues, and they are trying to kind of craft this new found world. So there's limitations on language, culture, food, cars, everything is controlled by the reestablishment. Now, in the reestablishment, there is different sectors, and we are currently based in Sector 45. Now, who is the leader of Sector 45? I'm so glad you asked. That is Mr. Aaron Warner. Now, we kind of just go through the story of her coming out of the insane asylum after she meets a man named Adam. Adam basically takes her to Sector 45, and things go down. Basically want to turn her into a war weapon. Obviously, a lot more goes down throughout this book, but that is basically kind of the intro into this series. All I have to say is that I don't remember Aaron being so delusional, crazy, psychotic, cringy. He says some shit and I'm like, whoa, buddy, chill out. But he is like so deranged in this first book, and I think because I was so in love with this character by the end of the 11 books, I blacked out the fact that he was a little cuckoo, crazy, insane. Now, this book is not anything revolutionary. It is a very, very YA book. I regret not reading these earlier in my life, because I think this would have rocked my world in like middle school. It would have rocked my world probably even in high school. With all being said, I I always kind of give the first Shatter Me book a low score. It kind of gets extra brownie points just because it feels nostalgic based off of like what it is written about, but I do think there is YA dystopian that is written better. At the end of the day, I think I would give the first Shatter Me book a 2.5 stars, and I know that seems quite low, but go up from here. It just gets better, so I'm not really too worried about rating this one low. It is kind of a rocky start, if you will. Now we're gonna head into the very first novella, Destroy Me. So within this series, there is novellas that come after pretty much every book. I think there's one that comes after 2 books, but there's 11 books total. There is 6 books, I think, and 5 novellas, or it's the other way around, one of the two. Let's get right into Destroy Me, I guess. It won't take me very long because they are quite small books, so let us do that now. So I'm just here to let you all know that I've already finished the novella Destroy Me. My thoughts about it are pretty much the same as Shatter Me. It is like the beginning of a story, so it is relatively just mid in my opinion. Basically, this is just Aaron Warner being down atrociously bad for like 200 pages. He is so obsessed. Like, I genuinely forgot the level of obsession this man has with Juliet in the very beginning. I mean, throughout the whole book, but like even in the very beginning when he's a little delusional. Overall, I enjoyed it, obviously, because I do enjoy these books, but if I had to give it a star rating, I would probably give it a 2 star. Now, I know the novellas get better as the books get better, so I'm not going to, you know, beat it up or say anything too negative, but don't, you know, take it with a grain of salt. Anyway, so I did finish the first novella, and it's not really giving us a whole lot yet. So now we are finally moving on to the second Shatter Me series book, and that is Unravel Me. And I remember the first time that I read Unravel Me, I definitely liked it a whole lot more than Shatter Me. I'm actually very excited to go into this, and I'll probably be starting it very soon. I'm kind of having a great time. Let us get reading into the next Shatter Me book. Guys, I'm like actively rating Unravel Me right now, and oh, the teenage angst. Like, there's something so addictive about reading about just like really dramatic teenagers. Maybe it's just me. They're so down bad for one another, the two Lavenders in this. I literally wrote down, I was like, oh, they down bad in like a teenager way, where they like can't stay away from each other and it like physically hurts them if they can't be in the same room with as them for like 2 minutes. Also just the teenage angst of like their fights. It's so dramatic and so over the top. Juliet is so dramatic in this book, but like I'm eating it up. Is she a little bit annoying sometimes? Yes, but she's 17, so she gets an excuse. But I'm having a great time. I read this while I was watching TV, and it was a good time. I'm having a great time. These books are so easy to fly through. I could literally probably read this whole thing if I wanted to. I don't think I'm going to do that though, because I do value some of my brain cells. We have very few left, so I gotta value them. I'm gonna keep reading this now, but I just thought I would pop in to say the teenage angst is so real. I have a little bit of a baby update for you. I have made some pretty good headway on this. Every time I sit down to read this book, I just read all of them in one sitting, and I can't help it because they're so digestible and so easy to read. I physically have to stop myself to go to bed, to sleep, to get some shut-eye. Anyway, I think in my last update I talked about how this is very teenage angst and it's not going anywhere. Going through the whole trope of like, I can't be with you anymore because I keep hurting you. If you've watched Twilight, you know that thing that Edward does? Yeah, that. The whole book so far is just teenage angst. And now we're getting into the like juicy part of the story where our baby girl Erin has been reintroduced. If you've read the books, you know what I'm talking about. He is still giving the creepy energy, but he's so deranged because he just feels like he's lost just his sanity, and I don't blame him. We also just found out the absolute bombshell that we find out in this book, and if you've read this book, you know what I'm talking about, between some family members, and it hit just as hard as the first time I read it. The first time I read it, I was shell-shocked, and the second time I read it, I was like, T. tea, babes. So that is my update on that. I might finish it tonight because why not? I do have some other books I need to read, but this is consuming my brain. I just want to sit down and read this, like just boom, 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 all night long. No sleep. We'll see you soon, probably when I'm done with this book, more than likely. I do want to apologize for the way that I look. This is called I was out till 4 a.m. last night, and not for any fun, crazy reason. I was watching the race at my friend's house, and now here I am. But let's get into the real reason we are here. And that is this here book. Guys, when I went into reading this, I knew that things were going to be a little rocky because I am kind of like above, I feel like, the age range for this now. I was a little bit nervous because I was like, this is just not, it might not hit the same because I'm not in that age range, that ballpark. And I was afraid that I wasn't going to love the teenage angst. Let me tell you, I'm loving the teenage angst. This 22-year-old girl eating the teenage angst up. I think I'm going to say this 100 trillion times, so I apologize. These books are so fun because they're giving like the early 2010s kind of YA, and YA has changed so much as a genre. I feel like now YA is very leaning out of kind of the teenage angst and more into new adult. This just feels like such a classic YA, and I'm having such a good time. These books aren't trying to do any more than what they tell you at face value, and I can applaud a book for that. Aside from the absolute teenage angst that is this book, Aaron Warner has invented the word yearning to an obsessive rate. He quite literally invented being down bad. And I think if I would have read this when I was 16, it would have been dangerous because my type and man would have been criminal. There is so many iconic lines in this book that I just totally forgot about until I did a reread. Oh, I just had like the best time ever. We get to see so much more of Aaron, and this is when he kind of gets more introduced as a main character. And I just love him, and I love these books, and I love these characters. So by the end of this, I did give Unravel Me a 3.5 star because, again, it didn't set out to do anything more than what it said, and I had a good time. This is just kind of like the starter, right? We're sampling in. And then I read Define Me, which is the novella that takes place after Unravel Me, and hey, 2 stars because I could care less what Adam has to say or think. We're on the beginning of Adam's, what I would like to call, bitch boy arc. It just gets worse in the next book. I know it does. We're locking in for the Adam hate train, and I hope you're right alongside with me. So, with all of that being said, we are finally going to adventure on into the 5th book in this series, which is Ignite Me. If I do remember correctly, the first time I read this series, this is one of my favorite, and I hope that still holds up. I'm very excited to keep going through this. I'm having such a good time. I am reading these in like 1 to 2 sittings, and I am just blowing through them, and I'm living my best life reading this, and I'm also rereading the Maze Runner series right now, so my brain is just fulfilled with that dystopian nostalgia, and I'm having a good time. So that's all I have to say for right now. I will hopefully be back very soon with an update on Ignite Me. I fear I cannot be left alone with a Shatter Me book for more than an hour. Let me just show you why. Please don't be angry with me, but look at that dent. I'm so sorry, but this book, you know how the last book was teenage angst? This turns it up a notch because we are finally getting introduced to the main romantic conflict in this book. And boy, let me tell you, it is entertaining to read these people just having drama. And I'm talking drama. This is the definition of teenage angst. Also, you know how I said that this was Adam's little bitch boy arc? It's in full swing. I had some very choice words for Adam while reading this, and I forgot just how bad he gets. I might finish this tonight. I'm so sorry. I have been trying to space this out. I fear I can't help myself. They start arguing, and it's like, bam, 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 straight through the pages. I can't help it. That's all I have to say on this. I'm gonna probably finish it tonight. And then I'll check back in. I have finished this book. And all I have to say is that this makes me feel like a teenager again. Hence the whole play Teenage Dream by Katy Perry, because that is how this book made me feel. From start to finish, the drama, the angst, the relationship drama. It was just so fun and just so good. These books, I can't take them too seriously because they're so fun. And all I can think about is like being 17 and reading this. It just transported me back, you know? Oh, is no one gonna tell me about that? Anyway, I ended up giving Ignite Me a 3 stars because I had a great time, okay? But is it a 4-star good time? No. It's like a party good time. Anyway, now we are moving on officially to the 5th book. The 4th book in this series, and that is Restore Me. I remember that this is kind of when all the drama kind of comes to a conclusion. We're kind of getting into the resolve of the actual plot, and I do remember there being a lot of teenage emo-ness in this one, if you will. So I'm gonna start this now, and I will come back when I have an update on this one. I'm gonna preface this by saying this is gonna be a bad update because I'm in bed and my fan is on. So audio is about to be shot, and it's not gonna look the best, okay? I have a little bit of an update for you because I keep forgetting to update, but I fear I read 3 books while I was doing this vlog that were so good they made me fall into a bit of a reading slump, and I did not want to pick up a shatter book to save my life. Every time I picked one up, I wanted to slam my head repeatedly into a wall because nothing was hitting the way I wanted it to. So I'm powering through, okay? I got the audiobook on Libby and I am halfway through. What do I have to say? All I have to say is, you know how the last book was teenage angst and like all of that drama? This book is teenage emo mode, like to the max, because they're kind of finally talking through what they have been through and their trauma and their backstories, which is wonderful because we're finally seeing some character development. But we're also getting the absolute bomb dropped on us, the kind of actual story of Juliet. It's still just so much drama, but like in a different way. It's not drama as like love, it's like drama feelings, sad emotions. I'm still having a good time. I'm trying to push through because I am kind of in that little bit of a reading slump stage. And I've already read these books, so it's kind of hard to read books you've already read when you're in a reading slump. But we're pushing on, okay? The audiobooks, they're saving my butt. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I don't know if I'm gonna listen to some more of it tonight. I literally have like 4 books I need to get done in 4 days, so we're gonna do it though. I have faith in myself. I'm just here to say that Juliet getting drunk and chopping off all of her hair is exactly the vibe of teenage crazy that I love about these books. I'm going to apologize once and once only for the fact that I look like I've been through the trenches, and I would like to call that A, ADHD paralysis, B, in the absolute guttural trenches of a book slump still. But you want to know something? I did it, soldiers, okay? I pulled through and I finished Defy Me along with the little novella that comes after this. I actually had a great time. So I kind of say that after Restore Me is kind of the cusp of when things actually get genuinely really good, and we kind of move on from the whole relationship dynamics. We move into the thick of the general plot. And Defy Me does not disappoint. I think that this might be my favorite book in the entire series because this is when we are thrown so headfirst into the absolute deepest depths of the plot revolving Juliet and all of these kids. And oh, do we find out the tea about the reestablishment. There's so much teenage angst in this because Restore Me kind of set up the whole like, let's talk about our feelings a little bit and let's open up a bit. And then Defy Me was like, let's act on those feelings. And this really just shows kind of how far a lot of these characters have come and are opening up to what has happened to them when they are children. Mr. Aaron Warner did turn 20 years old at the end of this book, and that is one of my favorite scenes in this whole book. I don't know why. It brings me whimsy and joy, even though his birthday is like the most depressing thing for him. I just like the fact that he got a birthday cake. This book is super, super fun. After this, we get the little novella, and that is from Kenji's point of view once again after this book, and kind of touches on how he's feeling, especially in regards to the fact that he does not have a lot of people. He's very lonely, especially now that Juliet has her boo. He just feels like he doesn't have anybody to talk to. It's actually really, really sad, and that novella was really sad. Again, I'm not a huge fan of novellas, but I always do like to read from Kenji's point of view because he is one of my favorite characters in this whole series. I also love that we get so many emotional moments throughout this book. There's panic attacks, there's mental breakdowns, there is cussing each other out, there is fighting, there is crying. The soap opera book of the Shatter Me series, if you will. All in all, I think this book, I definitely have the most memories from the first time I read it, like really
really enjoying the character interactions and the moments that we get between everybody, even the really bad ones and the really scary ones. There's so many twists and turns in this book, and I just had a great time. All right, and that is why Defy Me ended up getting a 4-star. Is it a masterpiece? No, but God forbid a girl catch a vibe and have a good time. I then gave the little novella that was around Kenji's point of view a 3-star because it didn't add a lot, but it definitely added more than I feel like the other novellas did. Like this novella and the very first novella, I think it's called Destroy Me, have added the most to the plot. The other ones were just kind of a different POV with what was already happening. I liked how in the very first novella we got to see a little bit of Eren, and now we're getting to see more of Kenji's feelings. So, do we know what this means? We are officially on the last Shatter Me book. There is a novella that comes after this book, the last Shatter Me book. So I may or may not have made a mistake because the new Watch Me book comes out tomorrow. This is going to be done in a day, and the novella is going to be done in a day because I refuse, okay? I set a deadline for myself and we are going to push through. We're going to read this all in one day. I have the audiobook ready to go. We're going to do some cleaning tomorrow and we are going to absolutely power through this book. And then we're gonna be done. I'm kind of sad. I feel like this has been a journey. I mean, it's been a journey for me. I don't know how you're feeling, but this has been a journey for me. I'm going to lay down for the night and crack on with a little bit of audiobook listening and some actual physical reading. And I will see you very soon when I am cleaning, probably, which is not, the best content in the world, but you can't complain, okay? You're here for a reason. Oh my word. We've officially done it. We've done it, folks. We have finished the full Shatter Me reread. Oh, why am I kind of emotional? Every time I finish a series, even if I've already read it before, yeah, I'm gonna be emotional. I feel like I just lived with them for the past month and a half. So let's talk about it. So to finish off this reread, I obviously started with Imagine Me, and I had a wonderful time. This book is basically our conclusion to our building plot that has to do with the reestablishment and kind of what has been going on behind the scenes and all the secrets that have been kept. And we finally got all of our answers to that, along with a conclusion to the plot line with these characters. And let me tell you, it is a ride. I said it once, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm probably going to say it again at the conclusion of this video, but the last 3 books in this series remain to be elite. They just have so much to do with the actual reestablishment and what was going on, and it kind of just does such a good job at really expanding that plot. And this is our conclusion, so obviously it was wonderful, and I enjoyed it so much. We get to see so much more of these characters as well, which I really enjoy, and we got to see just how difficult Eren is going to be up until the very end. My boy is stubborn, and I applaud him for that. But truthfully, I love these characters so much, so every time seeing the conclusion to this story just hits different every single time, and I just genuinely really, really enjoyed this. I ended up giving Imagine Me a 4-star because I just had such a good time. Moving on to the novella that takes place after Imagine Me, which is Believe Me, and it is solely from Eren's point of view, and it crushed me. It ruined me. It does every time. This is basically our happily ever after novella, and I will not hear it from anyone. I personally love a happy ever after book. I love to see our characters at peace and kind of doing their own thing. At least Eren's version of peace, which might not be very peaceful, but at least he's happy. But I don't want to obviously give anything away, but we definitely do get our very happily ever after, and we get to see so much character progression within Eren and kind of how much he is struggling to come to terms with the fact that he can be happy now. And it was just sad, but also so fulfilling at the same time. All of our other side characters finally have some form of peace after years of war, and it was just wonderful, and I had a great time. I cried at the end like an absolute idiot. Yeah, let's talk about that. let's not talk about that actually. I ended up giving Believe Me a 4-star as well because I was just filled with whimsy and joy, and I was just so happy and fulfilled. And that is why I will always love a happy ever after book. I don't care how gruesome your story is. Give me a happy ever after novella and everything will be fine. Everything, all the trauma will be erased from my mind as long as there is a happy conclusion, and we get that with this series. Now, on a more serious note, I love this series so much and so deeply, and I will say it over and over and over again, but I think these books are so good for even being YA. Every time I read these books, I discover more about why I enjoy them, and I have the same emotional response every time I read them, and I think that just says a lot. For these books being YA, they don't shy away from themes of a controlling government and the repression of race, culture, and even religion. It dives into so many topics on what makes humans human and what would happen if our government were to take away things like culture and language and books and knowledge about our world and just its history. And I know that's been done before in YA dystopian, but I just genuinely think every time that I read it within YA, it makes me feel such an incredible sadness to know that these books are being banned, when I think there are so many topics within these books that need to remain within a young audience of readers, not only because of the bad things, but also these books touch on how to separate yourself from your parents and how to have that independence away from your parents and discovering yourself as a person without the repression of your parents' beliefs. It also talks on intense childhood trauma and how kind of moving on from that isn't a linear line, and how those residual feelings are going to affect you into your early adulthood, how they don't have to control you. They don't have to be things that are dictators in your life, and you can still end up with these happy moments. These books also touch on so many queer identities and how they exist within friend groups and how they exist within just society. Overall, I think these books unfortunately get watered down when they do have so many elements that are so important, again, for YA readers. Dystopian as a genre has always pushed this barrier of kind of exposing younger audiences to these important topics and how they can be detrimental or impactful within a society. We've seen it with the Hunger Games, but I just think YA dystopian as a whole is such an important genre, and if I ever see it die, I will die. That'll be my day, I think. And I just really hope that YA dystopian and just dystopian as a whole makes a bit of a comeback as a genre, because it remains to this day one of my favorite genres. I think you can cram so much political and social commentary into a dystopian book while it's still being fun, and these books are a prime example. There was so much teenage angst, love, drama, and all of that good stuff while still having impactful messages in its underlining themes, and that is what I appreciate. And also really enjoy in these books how they touch on the deep connections of friendship within a male and female, and how those bonds and how those friendships are just as important. I just love these books. I definitely think the first 3 books are the most YA in tone, and the latter 3 books are definitely the most enjoyable in my personal opinion. First 3 are very angsty, and the next 3 get very serious. And I do not know if Believe Me is YA, but there's some scenes in Believe Me that I was like, is this YA? I think the latter 3 of these books definitely do a good job at the social commentary while still having the romantic plot line, and they don't compete with one another. They're always kind of in linear lineage with each other. With each book, the writing just gets better and better and better, which leads me to the very conclusion of this book, which is Watch Me is coming out today. And I have read This Woven Kingdom and that series, so I am so beyond excited to see the tone in which that she writes Watch Me, because she has grown so much as an author just in between the Shatter Me series to This Woven Kingdom series, and I just know that Watch Me is going to be a start of something absolutely wonderful by her, and I am just so excited to see how much her writing has grown and how these characters have grown. So with all being said, we have finished our complete reread of the Shatter Me series, and I feel fulfilled. I definitely think every time I read these books, I take more and more away, and I will always recommend recommend them to anyone who is willing and wanting to read them because they are just such a good time. I hope this year brings so many more dystopian novels, whether they're YA or adult. I just love them every single time, and it is the genre that got me into reading. So with all being said, please feel free to let me know in my comment section if you have read the Shatter Me series, if you love the Shatter Me series, if you're going to read the new release of Watch Me, and how you are feeling about it. While you're there, feel free to subscribe to join my community. I would love to see you around, and give this video a like if you liked it and want to see more content like this from moi. So I'm gonna go perish in my bed because I am so excited for the Watch Me release, and I will see you very soon in the next video. Bye bye. Mwah. All right, time to crash out.